So you wrote a novel, right? And finished
Yes, I
one.
did. I finished my first book, Righteous Endeavor, RRIGHTEOUS, coming to a Amazon near you. Keep your eyes peeled.
Why do
Holiday 2021.
Why don't you read us a little bit of it?
Oh gosh. Okay. How about
the parking garage?
Ooh, yes. Okay. Parking garage. All right. So this is so actually I'll have the fans. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. I'm thinking about using this as the preface. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do a preface or not, or if it needs a preface. And so this is actually the very first piece that I wrote before the book was even drawn up or thought about, or this was a creative writing assignment that I did for my college course that I'm taking. So it's called The Garage. There's an unspoken understanding by all whom visit the garage on a regular basis. Don't touch anything and make sure you wear boots. Although the garage was considered trash by white privilege, in the hood, it was a treasure. The decrepit three-story condemned parking structure is one of the last things on State Route 104 that hasn't been touched by the paintbrush of gentrification. Since they were allowed to play outside by themselves, Dom and his friends would always ride their bikes down the beaten path under the freeway to the parking garage perimeter fence to a place about halfway where the older kids broke the chain link and pulled a section back, giving access to a whole different world. Tonight was no different except for the fact that he was walking the beaten path in $689 Ralph Lauren polo boots with the strap, a pair of Rock Religion denim, and the sexy black Carhartt that baby girl bought him for his 18th birthday. Being a Pisces and having an early March birthday, sometimes it still gets cold enough to see your breath. Tonight was one of those early spring nights. On nights like this, the manholes spew steam like tea kettles, and the air is just brisk enough to water your eyes when it first hits your face. After parking his rental car at his mom's, he called Flock and asked them to meet him at the View. After going over his checklist in his head and patting his pockets along the way and whispering to himself, cigarettes, weed, lighter, brass knuckles, birthday pint, remembering to leave his phone in the cup holder, he shut the door and clicked the fob on his way to the trunk, waiting for the chirp. He paused at the trunk of the Challenger long enough to give 3 good knocks and very specific instructions about volume. Then he lit a cigarette and started his walk towards the beaten bike path. Once he was officially trespassing, he caught the familiar smell of the overflowing dumpster, human piss, dog shit, puppy chow, gunpowder, and burning paper from the fire scattered throughout the 3 floors. A few steps later, the inaudible buzz translated into grown men shouting dollar amounts, dog names, and the truly vicious, unmistakable sound of 2 animals seconds away from fighting to the death. After peeking into the basement floor, assessing the situation, and picking a winner in his head, he continued his trip to the top. The first floor was usually reserved for dice games, followed by celebratory or lost my paycheck style drinking, with the occasional trip to the octagon sprinkled in. The octagon wasn't even an actual octagon. It was just a cleared out corner section that had been swept out and was reserved for settling gambling debts that weren't paid in cash and were, of course, bet on. The second floor was incredibly unstable because about 10 years ago, a car fell through from the top floor and exposed cut corners during the building process that immediately closed and condemned the structure. Besides the enormous pile of rubber and exposed ceiling, the covered half of the second floor had an incredible graffiti collection, along with Swiss cheese wall decorations from gang members who used to use the second floor as a shooting range. The second floor also used to be home to a handful of squatters and all the things they leave behind, not to mention all the usual trash: beer cans, mild tips, Newport filters, hypodermic needles, and the unmistakable orange cap that was used to protect the point everywhere. The only other claim to fame of the second floor was its northeast corner, appropriately dubbed the corner. You could always tell which one it was because of the Hansel and Gretel trail of condom wrappers leading towards the corner and used condoms leading away from it. The corner was where innocence was exchanged for manhood and girls became women whether they were ready or not. It was also the place a working girl could make $20 in 20 minutes. The corner was rarely vacant after 8 p.m., someone always coming and then going. Once Dom made it to the top floor, leaned against the wall, and was facing the south side of the city skyline, not a cloud in the sky and the stars washed out by the glow of the street lamps below, he pulled out his E&J and took a nice long pull of the room temperature brandy, and then he lit his birthday blunt. The only sounds up here were the buzz from the halogen street lamps, Dom's thoughts, and his cloudy, heavy exhales. 5 minutes later, Flock walked up. Hey, you know there's a fly-ass Charger parked outside of your mom's? Yeah, yep. Damn, Dom, what you got a pet skunk up here? Oh, nah. Hell nah, let me hit that. Damn, you been drinking? Yo, you stink. Just a little, take the edge off. Edge? Really? How many is that? My first. You're a liar and the truth ain't in you. All right, it's my second. I heard it in your voice when you called me, man. I told Wifey, I said, man, he's on some mess. So I found the guy who ran me and my dad off the road on my 13th birthday. I saw the truck. It was the same truck I seen that night. I had baby bruh hack the place at the DMV and they came back to the same owner since 2000. Turns out guy's a creep. He has 2 numbers.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
He has 2 numbers, and the second one is for felonious assault and rape. And get this, he was locked up around the same time my dad was. So wait, you think your dad gave him a hard time while they were locked up? Yeah, because 3 weeks after he got out, he ran my dad off the road on the way to our birthday dinner. By the end of his story, the 2 had finished the second pint and were halfway through the third. After giving Flock a couple minutes to process everything he just said, they lock eyes, searching each other's soul the way only best friends can, and asking each other question after question that they already know the answer to without speaking a word. Proving that they're on the same page, Flock breaks the silence. Hey, Dom, G gave me some of that Fetty that's been killing people, dropping them like flies. Why don't we just sell him some and leave his ass downstairs? So should we overdose him at his place? Or should we kidnap him and do it here? Well, I guess it kind of depends. You want to have a little fun with him first? With a devilish grin and a mischievous scowl, Dom looks Flock right in the eyes and says, I already did. Flock's head starts to spin as he does the math, and without...
You have 1 minute remaining.
Last night, I broke in and waited for him to come home with Sasha. Sasha? Yeah, I sent her to his bar with $1,200 to get him trashed, get him home, steal his truck, and take it to her brother, have him report it stolen and wreck it across town. Then I sent Kiki to get me a rental. Turns out dude behind the counter has a foot fetish, and for 3 pictures of her feet, he upgraded her to a premium rental while leaving her registered to a Ford Focus and gave her the keys to the Challenger for the weekend. After a good belly laugh, Flock puts the pieces together and finally asks, so where's dude? DJ answered, the trunk of the Challenger. The next morning, the garage was crawling with cops and a barrier contractor putting up a new semi-perimeter permanent fence topped with barbed wire. By the 5 o'clock news hour, the mayor already had sound bites out vowing to rid his fair city of the eyesore that is the parking garage and find the scum who sold his nephew the fentanyl that took his life. 2 weeks later, the parking garage was nothing more than a pile of rubble getting smaller every day. Dom and Flock were single-handedly responsible for the destruction of an icon in the hood, and no one would ever know it except Dom, Flock, and his dad looking down.
Thank you for using GTL.